Maybe the most noteworthy fantasy player in this game ends up being Isaiah Likely, over 26 points. So we got to hear from his coach after the game on just how incredible his standout performance was.
Oh, I think Isaiah played just a great football game, a courageous game. I made so many plays, especially down the stretch, play after play. I put Lamar, obviously, in the same category. All those guys. I mean, those guys were making plays and fighting. The offensive line, I thought, did a heck of a job out there. A lot of question marks that, the pundits and the prognosticators had about the offensive line, saying that with that offensive line we couldn't do anything. And to see the way they went out there and played against that defense, I thought was pretty impressive. And that's a challenge, especially in this environment. Communication, and there were problems on both sides. But I thought Isaiah played a great football game. I was proud of him and a lot of other guys too.
9 catches, Matthew, for 111 yards and a touchdown for a guy that's not even on a ton of fantasy rosters, and if he is, he's really almost a handcuffed tight end to Mark Andrews at times.
1,000%. Plays 70% of the snaps. Last year, when Mark Andrews was active, he played just 22% of the snaps. So the preseason rumors of, hey, they're going to use more 2 tight end sets this year, that absolutely happens as well. The crazy part here, obviously the 30% target share is sort of insane. But I think what's important here is Mark Andrews. Like I don't think we can talk about Isaiah Likely without talking about Mark Andrews. And so Mark Andrews, by the way, ran 38 routes last night. He had a 72% snap rate. If you go back and look historically, Mark Andrews has never been that particularly effective against Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Like, I think they made I go back and watch the film, right? I can only watch the game broadcast. But the fact is that my expectation is when I go back and look at sort of the all 22 is that we're going to see a concerted effort to take Mark Andrews out of this game. The other thing is that remember Mark Andrews had that bicycle he had the accident and he missed a couple of weeks in August. So he's only been back at practice. So is there a chance that maybe he's not fully into game shape, maybe that he's still not 100% healthy and he was just out there, that there was a little bit of a decoy there? Lamar's like, all right, who's open? Oh, all right, they're bracketing Mark Andrews, they're doubling him, they're paying a lot of attention. Okay, they don't care about Isaiah Likely, let me just hit him. Yeah. But so there's 2 sides of the story here, right? And so let's break this down. Number one is whoa, Isaiah Likely, that was amazing. Are we all rushing the waiver wire to pick this guy up? Are we blowing all of our fab on Isaiah Likely? Is there a changing of the guard for the Ravens starting tight end that you want? And then the other thing is oh my God, I used a top 4 tight end pick on Mark Andrews this year. Am I totally screwed? What's going on? And I think the answer is both yes and no. I don't mean to fence it a little bit here. I think there is a chance we have seen Isaiah Likely's best game of the year. Just seriously, 26 fantasy points, 9 for 111 and 1 touchdown, assuming health for Mark Andrews. There's a chance this is his best game of the year. History is filled with fantasy football people that rush out and grab somebody after a huge week 1. David Tyree is sort of the poster boy for that. Shout out to Frisman Jackson, wherever you are, right? The history is filled with fantasy football managers that go out after week 1 and then just, it falls apart. But Isaiah Likely, again, the fact that he played 70% of the snaps, the fact that he had such a massive target share, 30%, and he got 2 end zone targets, 3 red zone targets, looked like he was done for the season at one point at the very end of the game and then came back after a play, I think, really bodes well, obviously, for him. He's clearly earned a lot more playing time. But I don't think Isaiah Likely is going to be as good as this for the rest of the season, and I don't think Mark Andrews is going to be nearly this bad, guys.
What percentage, let's say they both stay healthy, what percentage chance do you think that Isaiah Likely outperforms Mark Andrews this season? Do you think it's 10% or do you think it's more 40%?
I think it's more 35.
Okay, well that's pretty big considering where these guys went in drafts. And I agree. I think to me the problem, Mark Andrews just didn't look good out there.
No,
he looked like he had the turning circle of the Titanic. Meanwhile, Isaiah Likely looked explosive. He's getting down the field. Lamar is looking for him with the game on the line, the final play. So I think that I would still. It's 1 week. You still have to regress to everything we knew before, so you still make Mark Andrews the favorite. But there's a very, very real chance that Isaiah Likely is the guy.
Yeah, or that it's more of a 2 tight end set. Again, could we see the best example I can think of is Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez, when both guys were productive fantasy tight ends for the Patriots. Could you see a scenario like that where like we think this is going to be one of the better offenses in the NFL. They move the ball. You know, Lamar had a bad series down the stretch, you know, and once again they abandoned the run too quickly. But we'll talk about that in a second. But look, like Isaiah Likely is going to be a problem. He's going to be a matchup problem. And now, you know, they play the Raiders. They've got 10 days to prepare for the Raiders. And so Antonio Pierce and his staff now got to be, okay,
we got to worry about this
now
guy.
We got to worry about this guy too. And hopefully that opens up some more stuff for Mark Andrews. That's the concern here is, did Mark Andrews just hit a wall? His body threw a lot and just like it is what it is? Or is it just like, again, this guy missed some training camp. He went through this big accident and like give him a little bit more time to get into NFL game shape.
Yep. 92 PFF grade for Isaiah Likely last night, 50 for Mark Andrews. And I think that kind of matched the eye test, right? Likely's just a monster, and Mark Andrews just kind of, even when he got the ball, he looked very slow.
But if you have Mark Andrews, are you trying to sell low? Are you trying to unload it? Or you're just like, you know what, whatever. It was a bad day at the office, slow start, but I'm still sticking with him. He's still got the connection with Lamar Jackson. He's still going to be a red zone threat for one of the better offenses in football. The tight end position is still sort of dicey. Okay.
I think you just got to ride it out for now. Like, I don't think if you try and trade Mark Andrews now, it is more likely to get better. It can't really get worse, I would say, after that 1 week.
Yeah. Well, it can get worse for me because I have Mark Andrews on a couple of guillotine leagues, and so, you know.
See how that goes?
It would be bad if I go out in week 1 in a couple of these leagues, which is at the moment, you know, Mark Andrews with his goose egg isn't helping. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.